You've just stepped into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age and experience. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis. We are two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we are here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating your career, growing your business, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So, buckle up. Let's dive into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Good afternoon. If you're joining us, it's April the 8th. If you're joining us live, but if you're catching the replay, it's your time, your day, whenever you please. This is Midlife Revolution Unleashed. And today I am, as usual, joined by the wonderful Coach Stacy M. Lewis. My name is Wayne Dawson, Coach Wayne, and I work with midlife men, helping them land on their feet at the end of midlife.
Well, hey there, family. Hey there, Coach Kelly, and good evening to you, the Midlife Revolution family. It is a pleasure to be here with my co-host, Coach Wayne. And as he said, I am Stacy M. Lewis. I am a nonprofit executive. I'm a lover of God and his people, even when they are a little difficult. And I'm a midlife women's coach. Really excited about tonight's episode.
Yeah, Stacy, today we wanted to bring it all in because nothing happens on our own, right? And there's an idea oftentimes in many circles when we talk about success. A lot of folks think it's pulling yourself up by the bootstrap, the lone wolf style. And we're here to say that that never happens. People do not get to the top or achieve their successes doing it by themselves. It's all about community.
It really, really is. We were not designed to do things on our own. From the earliest days in the basic instructions before leaving Earth, there were two, and then there were more. We are designed to be in community. And I don't know about you, Wayne, but I can think of a couple of times where community was not only, it felt life sustaining, but I realized that I didn't know I needed community or the value of community until I was in it. And I think both you and I have had various experiences with community, and we just really wanted to ensure that you in this midlife season know that community is still important. So Wayne, share with me and our listening audience your little anecdote about where you may not be interested in building community right about now.
Mm-hmm. Stace, I want to say that I had dealt with this year, been dealing with people transitioning, seemed like more than usual. And just yesterday, I was called by someone who knew that I knew another brother, a neighbor, and shared with me that he had passed just 3 hours before. And I had just called him on Saturday. I found out he was ill and started speaking with him, and we just had a great chat. And one of the things that was missing in this gentleman, he's a few years older than I am, was the idea of community. He was truly alone. And when I say that, it was sad. I was, we prayed together, but he had lost touch with his son, his daughter, his ex-wife, his mother had transitioned, but he didn't have a relationship. And while he, even in this period, and I was trying to find peace for him and with him as best as I could to console him and to work with him on just even that stage, because I didn't know he
Mm-hmm.
moved so quickly through, I was trying to tell him the importance, because we belonged in a neighborhood, and that's what a neighborhood is, community, right? And he missed the mark. And so I was very saddened when I heard he left yesterday, because community is not just about taking from a group, and it's also about what you contribute to the group, what you give to the group. And if nothing else, and again, it's not transactional in a way that you have to bring some food to the party, but it's really about, I think, it gives you a sense of peace and wholeness when you're able to enrich other people's circumstances in life by giving of yourself, giving prayer, giving thanks, be
Mm-hmm.
grateful. And for me, community comes from the word communis, which is Latin, which is about to share with others. Right?
Mm.
And so it's very important to me.
Yeah, that's why this topic matters, right? That's why community matters, and especially talking about community in midlife, because sometime with life's ups and downs, and that experience that you shared. So sorry for that loss and the loss in your community of this gentleman. But our life's ups and downs can really put us in a space where we feel isolated. And we begin to feel, I won't go off on how this is what the enemy wants, but we begin to feel this sense of nobody can relate to me, or, no one's really interested in hearing what I have to say, or, I'm just tired of dealing with people, right? And many women can relate to this. So you can get tired of dealing with people. And in particular, I know as a woman, sometimes dealing with women can be tough. And at the same time, community can be a catalyst for confidence. It can be a catalyst for clarity, and really a supportive environment to help build momentum, really, and to help you move forward. And before I allow you to respond to that, I definitely want to say hello. You are one of our favorite coaches, Coach Curtis. And I am so excited to see Sister Audrey back in the audience. She is one of the hardest working women in therapy, and we are good to see you here tonight.
Yeah, I'm surprised. My wife is home. Hey.
Surprise, surprise.
So listen, Stacy, when we talk about community, my experience with men, oftentimes I'm seeing more communities being built. If nothing
Mhm.
else, I think what we're going through at this point in time in our unique
Hmm.
circumstances as a country, and the uncertainties that some people are experiencing, and the fear, it is helping, it is almost forcing brothers to create communities,
Hmm.
which is a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
But one of the things I would suggest for community is that we are intentional. Not every community is your community. Not every peeps is your peep and your tribe. So I think it's important to talk about intentionality, making sure that we share common values, sense of identity, and purpose in community.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think one important thing is to really ask yourself, what do I want in community? What do I want to give? And what do I want to receive from community? And that intentionality, you're right, Wayne, is just so important. Don't just start. You don't want to surround yourself with the wrong people, and you want to start with that intentionality, right? Really, really centering yourself and praying about, like, okay, what do I really need? What am I looking for? And what do I hope to gain and give from community?
And there are studies that are showing that there is such more to be gotten from being a part of a community, especially we're talking about midlife and moving forward in terms of meaningfulness and fulfillment and just gratification by that sense of belonging, right?
Mm. The belonging is truly So important. Again, so often, I know I found myself in seasons where I felt just disconnected, and um, that I didn't have that sense of belonging. And I think whether it be on the job, in business, so many of us are really seeking to be seen and seeking to belong. And, we were looking at some studies as we prepared for this show that really talked about the fact that engaging in meaningful communities can indeed reduce stress. And who doesn't need a little stress reduction in their life right about now? And as Sister Kelly said, community is a two-way relationship, right? It is the give and the take. You don't join a community to just get, right? It's like going to church. You don't just sit in the pew to receive, right? You are there as a member of community to give and receive. And so important, this idea of belonging and really reducing stress and increasing fulfillment through community.
Stacy, a quick
Mhm.
little word association game for us. Transition, renewal, legacy, contribution, wisdom, guidance, reflection, and restoration. These are all significant to midlifers.
Love it.
Midlifers go through all of these, sometimes at the same time, sometimes during different parts of the midlife transition.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
none of these truly, except for reflection. And even then, you can have a community when we talk about reflecting together. We say, as my man Curtis and I do all the time, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yes.
You can have
Yes.
a community of like minded folks
Mm-hmm.
that you participate in all of these with, which enriches the experience.
Absolutely. And supports um the transition, supports the fact that, oh, I'm having a challenging experience on my job or in my business. Really, it is community that allows you to connect and dialogue that out in a way where you feel supported, seen, heard, and ideally, as you talked about, like-minded community, you're getting feedback, information that is relevant and can be trusted in a way that you can act upon. So really, it does offer that wisdom and encouragement.
I see all the time, Stacey, talk about the pause syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
which when I do work, is one of the reasons why there are blocks in terms of Black men reaching and ascertaining their goals. And it's P representing the idea of it's not possible, right? Which is
Mm.
really learned hopelessness. The idea that it's they don't have the ability, which is learned helplessness. And the number one reason is learned worthlessness, or I'm not deserving. Well, the thing with community is it helps to remove that. The lone wolf idea, the idea of suspending the ego, and like my friend calls it, uh, looking at the we go for
Mm-hmm.
community is important. There is so much strength. They say you can go fast alone, farther with
Yes.
community.
Yes. Yes, and yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All very sound, all very biblical, all very sound. Let's take a quick pause and let's welcome Judy Silva. I imagine that you know her, but Judy, we want to welcome you to the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. We appreciate you being here and we appreciate your comment. Yes, safe space. Who doesn't need safe space? Woohoo! Nowadays, whoo, I tell you.
Stress reduction. Dr. Dawson, she knows stress
That's
reduction. She
that's
lives with it
right.
every
That
day.
stress reduction is key. It is key. One Wayne, I love the way you bring perspective to the Black male experience, in particular in this day and time when you're seeing um, the even more of a heart, maybe more of an openness amongst men of color to build community. authentic community, not necessarily, the $1 million club, the $1 billion club, but real authentic. Here I am, wanting to be my best self and could use that connection and support. Communities really are about receiving support, but they thrive when you contribute to that support. So we want to challenge our Midlife Revolution Unleashed audience, around what knowledge, skills, encouragement can you bring to that community table, as you think about community, not just the intention, what you want, what you might need in community, but really asking yourself, what knowledge, what skill, what encouragement do I have to offer? Am I willing to bring to community?
Yeah. I tell the brothers that I work with that as brothers, we ought to practice the high C's of community building, which is collaboration, cooperation, and communal living, and cut out the idea of competition and conflict and conquest, right? So let's take the high C's and build community so we can move farther together. And part of it being intentional, Stacy, is about trust, trust and belief, right? Our idea of community must be something larger than ourselves that we're going in there for and with an understanding to make it make sense for us.
Yes, absolutely. We want to say hello to Coach Ruby. Welcome to the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I believe that Sister Coach Ruby is on the younger side, but see, she is demonstrating wisdom as she really joins this community to say, what does that midlife audience have to share? Because I know I'm going to glean so I can grow in this world. So welcome, Coach Ruby. Wayne, let's talk a little bit about what the types of communities are that our listener can consider.
Yeah, well, the one that most people are familiar with are around social building, social capital, right? Mm-hmm. So community in your neighborhood, in your environment. Usually because of proximity, people want to at least belong to, say, the association in which they live, so that they can be part of the decision making and they can be part of the giving and sharing in that community. I know I belong in communities where we decorate together, where, around holidays, the community serves turkeys and that sort of thing. But there are others. There are fraternities for the men. There are communities around your spiritual community, important as well, for that balance and that feedback.
Critical.
Yeah, absolutely. There are political communities. A PAC recently reached out to a community of brothers asking us to get involved so that we can start determining who we vote for based on the fact that we're supporting that community. Yes?
Yes. There are also interest-based communities, right? That whether you play pickleball or you play mahjong, those are communities, real supportive communities, whether they be called support groups, but really communities that are really focused on wellness, maybe communities that are focused on emotional health. And what I'm seeing a lot, one of the communities that I belong to, the Impeccable Impact community, which is led by Sister Coach Kelly, is really one that is a combined, there's some professional aspect, there is some forward momentum aspect, so some mental health mindset aspect, and most importantly for me, there is that kingdom focused aspect, right? So where we're all talking, not doing the same things, not all focused on the same things, but there are these pieces that we can come together around and connect around and share around and support each other around. And so all of those things can really be found in community. So when you align that intention that we talked about earlier, your willingness to also contribute, and really thinking about the types of community you want to consider, we feel like this is a nice bundle to really push you on the way to community building.
I like that you brought up alignment because that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we are doing things, but we don't stop long enough to see if it aligns with our values and our beliefs and our construct of who we are and what we need. And so just because part of community has a skill to it too. You have to learn to say no to some, right? Not every flag is gonna be waved your way. You're gonna jump on. There's some you got to say no to. And when you find a community that resonates with those deeper aspects of who you are, then that alignment is important to help you discern that this is a calling, as it were, to be part of that community. I think it's important that we do that evaluation before we get in. What do we need and how does it feed us?
That is so true. That alignment, using your discernment to make sure that, I wouldn't jump into a super expensive community or, go all in on a community that you're not really familiar with. You want to give yourself the space and the time to do it right. And that alignment is so, so critical, Wayne. I'm so glad you brought that up. And thinking about alignment, it is aligned with your needs, right? So maybe taking a few minutes just to write down, what do you believe, the 1, 2, 3 things are that you need most in this season that, you're looking for most, so that as you look for community, that you're paying attention to what matters to you.
And like Coach Ruby said, it's so important that it's not about taking, the gimme, what can I get? You also have to give and share. And that's very important as well, that you add value. Don't just be one that takes air out of the room. And, Stacy, one of the things, especially for midlifers, that prevents us from getting through to community, because most midlifers will have friends that they've had for the last 15, 20, or since schools, right? They don't start making new friends as readily as younger generations. But it's an opportunity to create communities where you can renew, as it were, relationships and develop relationships. Listen, midlife means you got another half of your being to go. So you're only halfway there. That's why it's called midlife, which means there's a whole lot more of real estate ahead of you.
Of life to live. That is the goal, right? That is the goal.
So don't be afraid. Right?
This is not the time to throw in the towel. This is the time to show up, engage, and live your best life. Make your best mark. That is why you are here, to really give all that God has put in you, to give it out. That's why you're here.
And how do you start 1,000 miles, Stacy? One step at a time.
One step at a time. I love the way Coach Ruby said, you can't expect the village to show up if you're only willing to be a villager, right? Like we all got work to do. We are all here to give. And remember that your presence in a community can really be a gift to someone else. So show up with that intention. Oh goodness, we have so many more nuggets. I just want to make sure that we keep going, Wayne. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. Also, role playing. We don't have to be set on taking charge and always being upfront. In fact, sometimes it's okay to sit back and let others lead us and be followers. Be agile. If you're called on and you're in a position to lead, then lead. And sometimes it's okay to just be a co-pilot and be cool. By the way, brothers, you can lead from the rear. You can really, as it were, steer things from the rear. And especially if you're in a community where you're mentoring younger brothers, let them go up front and take the bow, and you just stay in the back there and feed the stuff. Yeah, it's so important that you know your role and just play it well, no matter what it is.
Wayne, one of the things, and one of the reasons why, and I'll share it later, but one of the reasons why is placed on my heart to start the Midlife Sisters Collective is because so often we as women, in particular Black women, find that it's challenging to be seen. So to your point of not always needing to be wanting to be the person to be seen, that when you step back and allow others to be seen, that could really be the gift that they need, so that they're stepping out of invisibility and really stepping into more of who they are authentically. And if you pick a group and it ain't the group for you, wish everybody well, hit the road, find a new group.
Stacy, I want to give a shout out to my man who really supports us. That's brother Curtis. And Curtis Brooks. Follow Curtis Brooks on LinkedIn, y'all. This brother has an event every Thursday, a podcast at 7 p.m. Central Time, which I think for us is 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And it's That Man Show. This week, Curtis is touching on anger, healing the hidden wounds of anger. And boy, don't we in our community need to hear about that, right? It's real. A lot of us Black men channel our anger in a way that's not healthy. And we really need to rethink how we do that. And so, Curtis, we're going to send people your way, hopefully, to tune into That Man Show this and every Thursday live here on LinkedIn. And I'm not sure if this has its simulcasting elsewhere, but to be sure, it's CT time.
Check it out. Absolutely. One thing I believe that, you and I strive to do, Wayne, that, seen so many others, Coach Kelly, Coach Curtis, we want to show up consistently. And it really is powerful to show up in community consistently. It doesn't mean that you always have to show up as, your very best, A game, everything is perfect, all the T's are crossed, all of that. But it is your authentic show up that can be the gift that somebody else needs. So I love that Curtis is doing That Man Show, that he's, doing it consistently, because it's not about the numbers, right? How many people are live or how many people are listening or how many people tuned in. It really is about the fact that your consistent show up is the way we generate community. You don't know how many people you're actually serving in community that you don't even know, right? So when we all go back and look at our different metrics to see how the show went, right? We see numbers and we're like, where were those people? Who were those people? But the reality is that we're here to be consistent and show up and build community. And you don't even know how many people are engaged in your community truly, if you're solely reliant upon, the numbers and the metrics and the comments. So show up consistently.
Stacy, I know you're about to start a community as well. Can you speak a bit on that, please?
I'd be happy to speak on that, Wayne. Thank you so much. I mentioned it a little bit ago, but it's called the Midlife Sisters Collective. And, I talked about one community that I'm in already. I'm also in a much larger community. And what I found, which I still enjoy, but what I found is that when things are very large, it's also difficult for those that may consider themselves introverted or ambivert or even the extroverts to really be seen. And the gifts that I've been given, I believe, are not for me. They really are for other women that I'm here to serve, whether it be through knowledge, through coaching, through whatever it is I'm here to offer, even if it is to serve as a vehicle to which they then connect with other women that may be less me and more about these new collections and connections. And in midlife, I found we talked about isolation earlier. And so relaunching the Midlife Sisters Collective as really just that opportunity for us as midlife women to talk about the things of midlife, to be authentic about the things of midlife, to encourage each other on, to reignite our dreams. I cannot tell you how many women I've spoken to where they have forgotten about their dreams, their heart's desires, the things that set their soul on fire because they poured it all out, whether it be in their relationships or their children or their career. So that's the Midlife Sisters Collective. One of the beautiful things about it is that it's not just going to be what I want. Those that come in as founding members at no cost will really get to help us build the Midlife Sisters Collective. It'll be a co-created community. And so I'm excited about it. Thank you for letting me share that.
I'm loving it. I'm liking it. I'm with it. Absolutely. Got to support the sisters as they've always supported brothers. I don't care where in history you've looked at. If you find a successful brother, pretty close to him are successful women. And they're successful because they make it happen, right?
Yes.
Measure success very differently. So yeah, we supporting, say, Stacy, the work that you're doing with the community you're forming. I'll speak maybe another time a little bit more about a community that we're forming as well as men. And it's simply just, I won't get into depth, but we don't even have a name for it yet. But what I do recognize because of communities that I'm a part of is that helping men to become vulnerable, helping men to be transparent, helping men to get a brave heart, giving them permission to show their emotions, sometimes requires other brothers that's been there, done that. And so in a safe way, I decided that I also will be launching a community for the brothers that I serve and doing some group coaching with those brothers to just sometimes make that first step a little bit easier. And again, what's happening right here, right now, it's important that we come together
right now.
Right
Okay.
now.
I was going to sing, but
it's that time. Stace, we got to bounce out of here.
We do have to bounce. We want to thank all of you for joining us this evening, whether it be live or recording. Remember, community is important. You get the opportunity to determine what you want in community. You get the opportunity to determine how you're going to contribute to community, and you get the opportunity to take action. That's what Wayne and I are encouraging you to do. Take action.
Stace, I'd be remiss before we leave out of here and play that final thing if I didn't say this one thing.
Please
do. And that is family. I'm so big on family and family's community. This week I have family visiting, my sister Delane, my brother-in-law Neville, and we today went to see some family that we hadn't seen from Jamaica who have been living in the United States for maybe 40 years. We connected. And it's all about the community.
Community. We are not made to do this thing called life alone. Let's support each other. Let's love on each other. Let's encourage each other forward. Forget about competition. That is out the door. This is the time to join community.
VIPtransformativeliving.com. Catch all my handles. And Stacy, where can they find you?
Oh, they know. Everybody knows how to find us. You can track us down, and it's always in the show notes. I'm available at thestacymlewis.com. Thank you all so much.
3 seconds and we're out. 3, 2, 1. We'll see you at the top. And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Hey, we truly appreciate your spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
And don't forget, if you enjoyed today's episode, let us know in the comments and share it with others. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.